That's the next big one. You're all talking about that. There's always 100 guys. Someone new's going to come out every day. This is the heavyweight champ of the world. Everyone wants a piece of him.
Fight fans, welcome back. The baddest man on the planet in his prime. An undisputed heavyweight champion with ruthless knockout instincts and a personal life almost as explosive as his ring exploits. Roy Jones Jr., a uniquely athletic talent who dominated for so long, fighting and beating the very best of his generation.
If you could still do this the way you're doing it, why not?
Jones only officially quit the ring in 2018, whereas fans are salivating at the footage of Tyson rolling back the years with some violently familiar pad work. Fasten your seatbelts for the latest installment of our Closer Look series, Jones versus Tyson.
Do you think you have the power at heavyweight to keep him honest?
Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
Come November 28th, I'm coming to act the fool. Be ready.
So the predictions of those who thought that Roy Jones couldn't possibly last 12 rounds in the ring with a man who outweighs him by this margin proved empty and false.
In 2003, after stepping up to heavyweight to defeat John Ruiz, Roy Jones Jr. set his sights on one of the division's hardest punchers.
This means that I am pound for pound the baddest mother. You know what? I'm gonna touch a pair of boxing gloves. I don't care what nobody say. Larry Merchant, anybody, I am the baddest. They can say what they want to say.
20 years on, that matchup is about to take place.
Like Roy, who when he beat John Ruiz opened as a 2-1 favorite against you. If that fight would have come off, at least those were the opening odds, because he was active and he looked so great.
I always liked that fight stylistically. I always thought it was so interesting. You know, because you were just this unstoppable force, and Roy was so fast and so slick.
For money or legacy, fighters of this caliber are so personally driven and intensely motivated to succeed, it is hard to keep them away from the allure of glory and doing what they do best.
This is a boxing match. It's not a ping pong game. So they will hit at one another. That's going to happen.
A carnival undercard filled with celebrity attractions may not appeal to the purist, but the main event could inject some exciting reminiscence back into the sport.
You can still obviously do it. I mean, you are still a really good athlete. You have the speed and power. It's apparent from watching you train.
Over the years, we have seen an increasingly humbler and contented version of Tyson. Through business ventures, a popular podcast, and a stable family environment, Mike appears to have finally found peace.
I don't understand it either, but I want to do it. I don't understand. I just want to do it, and I feel like I was born to do this stuff.
15 years ago, Tyson exited the boxing stage with a whimper against Kevin McBride. Though, despite his advancing years, training videos reveal that the power and ferocity of old remains. The initial buzz, rather than the fight outcome, may satisfy everyone's curiosity.
If he's definitely serious about it, I'll buy a pay-per-view for sure. There's one buy right here.
In theory, this is an exhibition with stringent rules applied. But Tyson is a finisher, a man who spent 20 years primed for the knockout ending.
And bring my competition with a dinner plate.
Old habits die hard, and he wants to return in front of the fans to remind them of a time when he ruled the heavyweight division with fear.
This is the main event of the night.
I'm a burn it to the ground. Burn it up. Yeah, you know I'm coming for the crown. And we don't play around.
Not the uppercut, the right uppercut.
Get out my way.
It is much more dangerous. 2003 never caught me. Now I can't say that.
I don't know, Roy. I don't think age matters with you. It's always going to be hard to catch you.
Don't play boxing. There is the chance that someone could get hurt in there.
He still can move and do things. How could you not want to see what happens? It has to be something spectacular. They're the two biggest entertainers you've had in the last, like I say, 4 or 5 decades.
Roy Jones Jr., meanwhile, spent his prime years collecting world titles at multiple weights as a pound-for-pound superstar.
Saturday night. Roy Jones, a handpicked trainer from Pensacola, asked him to go ahead and get the knockout and said, you've got somewhere else to go.
When not imparting his wisdom across televised broadcasts,
that one punch at a time is never going to work on Lomachenko because he's usually way too slick for that.
Jones acts as a coach and mentor, working with the likes of Michael Williams Jr. and Chris Eubank Jr.
A bit more subtle, you've got to set things up, you know. He's a very, very smart man, and I'm learning a lot.
His financial situation, along with his physical capacity, have been called into question, and concerns remain around his current flexibility and ongoing knee issues. The boxing brain remains sharp as ever, but will the body respond?
Who's going to win this fight? Look, I think Roy Jones, in my opinion.
Exhibition-style fights could provide the exact gratification for Roy's post-retirement desires. For a man who was heavily knocked out 5 times in his career, opting to dodge power shots off any version of Tyson is a questionable decision.
You know he's going to do something crazy. We just don't know what. Whether he's going to try to take my head off or whether he's going to try to bite my ear off. We're going to do something crazy. That's why it's so fun. You know he's going to do something crazy, but guess what? I'm going to do something crazy back.
Jones Jr. won his last 4 fights before finally calling time. More scathing critics suggest he is tainting his outstanding legacy. Jones believes he still has something to offer.
He looked the way he's always going to look. He's that kind of athlete, even X amount of years later, at whatever age he's at. You know, he's got that kind of DNA.
Contrary to belief, Tyson will not enjoy extensive physical advantages over his foe. According to statistics, Jones is slightly taller and has a longer reach. No doubt the Florida man will look to use his jab and movement, as at over 50 years of age and lacking the instinctive maneuvers of his heyday, Jones may well present an inviting target for Tyson.
I'm just prepared to do a lot of running and chasing.
Yeah.
You know, that was real difficult to get in condition
Do you think you have the power at heavyweight to keep him honest?
I had John Ruiz, kept him honest night long. He dropped Holyfield. He didn't drop Roy.
A natural heavyweight, Tyson struggled with the size and accuracy of some of his peers. He will look to pin Jones against the ropes and go to work, as Roy seeks the safety of center ring.
That was a flush right hand.
After handling the strength and power of John Ruiz, Roy Jones moved back down to light heavyweight to fight Antonio Tarver.
Magic Man! Do you have any questions?
I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Let's not ask questions like that. Let's touch gloves and go to work. Tonight, Roy. Let's go to work.
Stripping off too much weight too quickly, the fall from grace was rapid.
Roy has not found a way to be able to get a sustained attack against him.
This 4-weight world champion and Olympic silver medalist lost a vital spring from his step and suddenly became human.
I am the new people's champion, the true people's champion, pound for pound. And bring on Mike Tyson, bring on Klitschko, it doesn't matter. Because when I hit you with that bomb left hand, you see what happens. Lights are out.
He takes a right hand and a left hand, and he's on the canvas again. And for the second time in 2 fights, he's not going to get up, and he's been knocked out again.
Will we ever see Roy Jones in the ring again?
Not the one you're used to seeing, because we didn't see him tonight.
It's like David and Goliath. He's a giant monster we know, and I'm little old David who only has God on my side.
The pace will be slower, the timing eroded, but when pride kicks in, ring warriors instinctively fire back in anger.
Once you get in there and that thing and you get tagged once, the hurricane is going to come out, the Iron Mike is going to come out.
He's going to rip your head off. You have to look at that and go, look, let's not get crazy. Look how fast he's going. I know. Look how scary he is.
Even though the most ardent follower of boxing nostalgia would admit that this is not a prime-for-prime affair, it is a chance to see how their styles would have matched up all those years ago when the pair came closest to a heavyweight showdown. With such esteemed credentials, these men are used to winning fights of all descriptions, and the installment of judges adds a competitive element to an exhibition setting. Let us hope Tyson does not become frustrated and resort to the litany of ring crimes that have pervaded his career.
Oh, anybody in here? Holyfield bit by a dirty Mike Tyson.
I can't believe what I'm
As Roy's campaign ended and his reflexes diminished, his chin became more open, more available. Jones's restricted mobility will make him an increasingly stationary target, perfect for Tyson to size up and tee off against if he chooses.
They get on top of your game. You want to get him back in front of people.
They should have fought long ago, but now we finally get the opportunity to witness a former pound-for-pound star against a fighter who has shown time and again that once the switch is flicked, he can turn any situation into frenzied chaos.
The police are coming in by the squads, and they're still fighting in there.
A man at peace, or still the baddest man on the planet? Whatever the outcome, it is sure to be an intriguing ride from first bell to last.
If you love me for real, you had them same concerns for me back in 2003 when I wanted to fight Mike Tyson, because it was just as deadly then.